What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock, what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the overall market, how this may affect NIO, why tomorrow is going to be an absolutely crazy day as we have CPI coming out, and also how this could affect the other stocks in the market, from the SPY to the QQQs to the Tesla. I'm going to break down why this is very important, what my price prediction is for NIO. Before I do anything like that, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 10 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, any could be a free NIO share. The offer ends in just a couple of weeks, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. NIO is down 1.33% for the day, getting a bit of a pullback as I expected. I told you guys NIO would likely test 7.9, then try to bounce a little bit off of that, then close very, very flat, maybe a little bit in the red, and that is where NIO ended up closing in a very flat zone. I did see that the market would likely see some downside. That's what happened today. And the question is, what's going to happen for tomorrow? First, you have to look at the CPI report that's coming out. It's coming out 1 hour before the market opens tomorrow, and it's going to be very, very massive. All eyes are going to be on this number, and I'm sorry, all of these different numbers, right? Core is going to be very important too, and this will affect how NIO and every single stock moves. This is going to be the biggest factor, even bigger than like technical analysis right now. Looking at the data so far, you could see, looking at the 12-month percentage change in CPI, we've seen a big decline in CPI in itself. But core has been starting to trend to the upside, so we have to be super, super careful right now. Now, core is starting to increase. If we do get another increase in core, that's going to rattle the markets. We want both of these to be considered when looking at the data. Right, your core has another increase, very, very important stuff. And then we're expecting 5% for CPI compared to March, which is basically the same thing year over year. Month over month, a 0.4% increase versus the 0.1% in March. And then for core, we're expecting a 5.5% versus 5.6% from March. So we're seeing expectations around core to decrease just a tiny bit. And month over month, a 0.4% increase. So compared to year over year, we're still expecting relatively hot numbers. And we want to see them tick down. Of course, that would help the market rally. But if they happen to be, or even if just one of them happens to be hotter than expected, that could cause some downside for the markets. You have to be very careful, especially because we're seeing some weakness in the charts right now. Now, expectations for inflation have increased by 0.5 percentage points in the 1 year horizon. And then we also saw the first increase in the series since October 2022. For the first time in many months, Americans and individuals are expecting bigger increases in prices. When this tends to happen, we have a tendency of seeing more people buying goods at a faster rate. And as I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, the Fed did not announce a pause or say anything about pausing in June. Even though the market's expecting this, there's like a almost 80% chance that it happens. We're not really seeing it so far. If we get more increases in inflation, if it's hot again and again and again, we're going to see basically the Fed pull Volcker us, continue to raise rates even more. That's going to be detrimental. It's going to cause a very severe recession. And it's going to be very deadly. Now, looking at the data right here, you can see we've seen an 18-cent increase in gas prices over the last month. That's a bigger increase compared to the last 2 months. Even compared to like the last few months, we've actually been seeing gas prices trend down according to the data. Instead, they're starting to increase again. And I think it's going to be an even bigger increase by the May data that comes out. Food inflation has been decreasing, of course, since 2022. At least that's what it says. This does not mean prices are going down. It just means the rate at which they're increasing has decreased. So instead of them increasing 10% every month, or even like every quarter, whatever you want to use, they're increasing at slower rates than before. They tend to tick up during the summertime, right? If you look at the data, even if you look at the 10-year data, I think 10 years is too big. Let's look at the 5-year data. By the middle of the year, we tend to see these spikes, or like early during the year between like May to July, we tend to see some spikes. This happened 2019, 2020, the same thing. 2021 is going to be very abnormal, so is 2022, of course, but we did see some similar trends. So we might see this, start to stagnate a bit, maybe even increase a bit as we approach the summertime. Now, as far as NIO goes, there's some analysts saying that it could jump 80% based off their expected break even in 2026, and also because of them expanding their business in the European market. But we need to see more deliveries for that to happen. I'm confident in NIO giving us some good deliveries for years to come. But for the next few months, I'm still a little bit concerned because their latest numbers were not the best. But I do believe in the longer term future of the company nonetheless. NIO has 24 million in volumes, very low volume. The market's just kind of trading sideways. What do I see for the markets going forward? First off, for SPY, if we're bullish, we're going to get a break out of this, and it's going to start to look like a bullish breakout out of a bull flag, right? That's what it's going to look like if we do get the bull breakout. On the 4-hour time frame, we're seeing a weakening MACD, and it's looking more bearish, at least from a technical standpoint. Could we come down to 408 for a slight drop from like an inverse head and shoulders? It's a possibility. But if we're bearish, right? So let me first say the bullish case would be us breaking to the upside. We're going to break these highs right here, make ourselves up to 415 if we get a bullish CPI. If we get a bearish CPI, that would mean that CPI is hot. We're going to see SPY come all the way down to 408. Depending on how hot it is, it could come all the way down to 403 really fast, if not lower. Now, what do excuse me, sorry guys. What do I think is more likely? I believe both are possible, but like I was telling you guys, looking at what the Fed did and looking at the gas prices and other factors like that, the odds are favoring a hot CPI, or at least as expected CPI. So I'm inclined to think we are a little bit more likely to see some downside, maybe a 60% chance of us seeing downside after, and a 40% chance of us seeing upside. So both are very possible, of course, but I'm leaning more bearish based off this data. CPI is also very manipulated, so be prepared for manipulation. But other than that, that's what my view is. Now, Tesla has a bullish divergence, which is kind of different from the market. If Tesla trends bullish, I mean, as of right now, it's developing. There's no guarantee it's done dropping, though. But if Tesla trends bullish, let's just say we get a good CPI, expect it to break well above 170 and push up for 174.44. If it breaks that, then 178 is going to come. For bearish, it's going to break below 166, and then we're going to test to 160. What is more likely? Once again, be prepared for anything, but my bias right now is a little bit more in favor of the bears and us seeing some downside. Finally, for NIO, this thing is kind of in the middle, at least in terms of which way it could go. It's holding 7.9, closed above $8, but we did get a bearish cross on the PPO, and it's losing a lot of momentum. If we even look at some of our momentum indicators, for instance, they would tell us the same thing. But the bottom line is we're seeing momentum weakening on NIO. It's slowing down quite a bit. And it looks to me like NIO will most likely see downside in the future. I know it's not what you want to hear, but that's what I'm seeing. I'm open to any possibility, of course, but that's what I'm seeing on the charts. So please be open-minded. Please be ready. For the QQQ, we had a bearish divergence that was forming. It still is technically still existent. You can see it right here. Does this mean the QQQ is going to crash much lower? That's very possible. Could the QQQ rebound? Yes, both are possible. It could push up, it could come down. But looking at this from a technical standpoint, it looks more bearish, and CPI is more likely to be hot. So I am leaning a little more bearish. It's just my opinion. I could be completely off, but that's what I think based off the data. And I do believe we could see some more downside in the markets, especially from the tech sector. All right, guys. So anyways, that's what I have for this video. As a NIO investor, make sure you guys are open-minded. Let me just mention some levels for NIO. I think I forgot to mention them. If NIO turns bullish, it's going to make its way back to 8.5. If it's bearish, it's going to break below $8 and make its way all the way down to 7.5. What is more likely? Once again, guys, I'm always open to any possibility. I don't really know what CPI is going to bring, but my best assessment would be us seeing a hot CPI very soon, possibly during this report. I think that might drag NIO down below 7.9, maybe even lower than that, depending on how hot it is. All right, that's my bias. That's what I'm thinking. I have some merch for you guys too if you're interested in buying like a tank top or a hoodie that says to the moon or money is calling or funny jokes like that. And also don't forget about the Moomoo link. $100 deposited is going to get you up to 10 free stocks. The offer ends very soon. Thank you for listening. NIO to the moon alongside the overall market as the long term is still very bright. And peace out.